This story was told by a woman who is 57 years old. Her daughter got married, had a baby. Her daughter started to move slowly. First she brought her son, then some things, and then she moved in herself. My daughter brought her boyfriend to meet him and I didn't like him right away. He couldn't talk, he was withdrawn, but what to do, that was my daughter's choice. She said he was nice and loved her. 6 months passed, the young couple rented an apartment and moved in. But they didn't forget me. Vika came every weekend, telling me how they lived, what they were doing. Her stories were directed in one direction. They went grocery shopping, visited the malls, and that was it. No stories about friends, how they had a great weekend. They seemed to live in a world of their own that no one else entered. That's how they lived, apartment, rented for what year now? They got married, but there was no wedding. I had already suggested to my daughter that they apply for a mortgage. I could help, give them money for the down payment. They have to cut back and pay off their debt to the bank, but at least they'd have a place of their own. It's a good thing they didn't take out any loans, because then all sorts of things happened. My daughter and son-in-law had a baby boy, my son Vidya. Vika went on maternity leave, stayed home and took care of the child. She usually received her salary in an envelope at work, so her maternity pay was miserable. My husband used to reproach my daughter for not earning enough, even though he earned less than she did. And now he was completely furious, forcing me to go to work instead of taking care of my child. My daughter sometimes came to me to borrow money. And one day she brought me her grandson and told him to stay with me for a while, and when she had solved all her problems she would come and take him away. My grandson stayed with me. I had already retired at that time, and I had a lot of free time. I took care of Vidya. We took many walks, read fairy tales, went shopping, to the zoo, looked at different animals. Vidya liked a lot of things. I showed him trees and told him their names. So he stayed with me for a year. I kept asking my daughter when she would take her son, and she came with all her things and asked to stay with me until she got back on her feet. She also added that I shouldn't ask her anything, she was divorcing her husband. I did not pester my daughter with questions. And later she told me all about her life with her husband. After the baby was born, her husband started moaning about how they were bothering him, that he loved being alone, and they were yelling and screaming. Also, Vika had to leave the baby and urgently go out to work. It's a good thing she has me, and otherwise where would she go with the baby? In the end, he said that she got pregnant on purpose, so she wouldn't have to work. My daughter put up with everything because she loved him, but her patience came to an end, too. When her son-in-law came home drunk every night and started yelling at her and threatening to kick her out of the apartment. Well, at least he did not open his hands, and why kick her out? The apartment is rented. I would have bought a place to live first, and then I would kick her out. So my daughter started living with me, and I was very worried about them, especially Vidya, how a boy can grow up without a father. Sometimes, though, I wondered what kind of a father my ex-brother-in-law was. Sometimes it happens so that a child is even better off without a father than with a bad father. The daughter was not herself, she stayed at home all the time, didn't go out. She even wanted to quit her job, but I persuaded her not to cut her off, that everything would still work out. Half a year passed, Vika began to recover a little. We all started going out to the park together, for walks. A year later everything was going really well. At work Vika met a man who had recently joined the team. He is a little older than her daughter, caring, attentive. He, too, is divorced, his son lives with him, they left his mother's promiscuous mother. At first they just dated, ran on dates as if they were 17 years old. Then Misha proposed, there was a fancy wedding. They took out a mortgage, bought their own place, lived soul to soul. The former son-in-law did not show up at first, but then he began to show up. To ask forgiveness from her daughter, but no such luck. The divorce took place a long time ago, already a completely different family at the daughter. She looked at her ex, did not say a word and left.